welcome. What's happening here? Okay. Jesus. Welcome, everybody. All right, how's everyone doing? Hope you guys had a nice holiday, are enjoying the holidays as they continue. Happy New Year to everyone. Looks like we are good on TikTok. Somebody could please give me a thumbs up on TikTok. Let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be greatly appreciated. Same thing over here on Instagram. If you can give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. And welcome everyone on Facebook. Ivy Angela Rivera, Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium. And of course, YouTube at Ask Ivy. If you guys really want to support me, YouTube at Ask Ivy is always going to be the way, because they interfere with my channel the least and they pay me the most. So if you want to support me, make sure I can continue to do this work, this would be the best place to do it. Also, if you are on TikTok, they will always shut me down. Regardless of what I'm talking about, they will be shutting me down usually halfway through any type of live that I do. So if you are waiting on an answer, you may want to switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy right now. Same handle. I do want to make a couple quick announcements while we let people tune in. But if this is your first time here for a Dear Ivy show, this is a play off of Dear Abby, the famous columnist who would give advice. I don't know how old you guys are, but in the 80s, this was a huge thing. And I remember being a little kid and reading her column in the paper and just feeling like, I want to do this. She just gets to give advice on whatever topic happens to come up. People are dealing with drama in their marriage. They're fighting with a neighbor. You know, they have questions about their money. And I thought, that's fabulous. But, you know, I take it to a higher level, of course. Being a psychic medium, I'm giving you more like spiritual advice or wisdom that I've discovered over the years. So any type of question goes. You can go ahead and post them in the comment section now. Please, everybody, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind. It helps me on the algorithm, and please do subscribe. Donations are appreciated, but not required by any means. And if you want to book a reading with me, you can go to ivyriverapsychicmedium.com for that. If you want to do something more in-depth and private, this is not a free psychic mediumship show. So I'm not doing free readings tonight. This is just free advice. Do include the name of anyone you're referring to, or initials if you feel comfortable doing that. Sometimes it can help me tap into the energy a little bit, but it's not required, of course. We have Kim, our brand new producer, okay, doing her second show on her own. So we're going to be patient with her. And what you're going to be doing on Instagram and TikTok is watching for her in the comment section. So because we can't pin anything for more than a couple seconds and we can't do a description on either of those platforms, Kim is going to have to be in the comments repeatedly, grabbing up your questions. And if she needs more information from you or whatever, you're going to have to watch for her there. Okay, so pay attention to that. A couple quick announcements while we let everybody tune in and start getting your questions in now. We do have tarot class coming up. Registration deadline is January 5th. The tarot course runs, I believe it's 6 weeks. It's January 7th to March 11th. This is going to be 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. But if you can't take it online with the group, if you can't do it live, you can get the video download every week. It's adult learning here at the Ivy League Psychic Academy. So like always, you're going at your own pace, no pressure, but that class is being offered, okay, throughout that time period. And you can get certified as a tarot reader And you have lifelong work opportunities then through the Ivy League Psychic Academy, Ivy League Psychic Fairs, Ivy's Healing Call Center, my spillover work, ILPA opportunities, all kinds of things. All right, so check it out. Tiffany, she's now silver. She just got married, but Tiffany Chisler is our tarot instructor, and she's going to train you in the traditional method and the intuitive method, which means you're going to learn through the Rider-Waite deck how to actually read the, traditional meanings behind the cards, but she's going to make sure that you don't get stuck using that tool. A lot of really great tarot readers out there wish they could put the cards down. They wish they could do it freestyle. They wish they could just give a psychic reading or evolve into mediumship. And they're very frustrated behind the scenes that they cannot do that. They feel crippled by what was once a wonderful tool. Tiffany's going to make sure you can evolve beyond that. So that's the intuitive method that she's going to train you in. That's going to tap you into your psychic abilities, mediumship, channeling spirit, okay, and all that great stuff. So you can go above and beyond just using tarot if you choose to later on. It's a pay-as-you-go option or pay in full. You have payment options. We opened that up this past year just due to inflation and everything. It's not something we used to offer, but now we do. So you could pay every week. We also have coming up my psychic mediumship course. This is the first time I'm teaching it live. I have phone calls coming in. Thought I turned that off. Oh, well, it doesn't seem to be affecting things on TikTok. Anyways, so this is the first time I'm teaching in person the psychic mediumship course since COVID. It needs to be refilmed. So the whole 28 weeks, we'll be in here at the 1882 Victorian Funeral Home, headquarters for the Ivy League Psychic Academy, running class from one room or another. It's a beautiful experience here, always. And we have a registration deadline also on the 5th. Okay, and we start on the 7th of January. So if you guys don't want to join with a group, we're evergreen. So you can just do this anytime. We have a bunch of students running constantly. All right, so you have multiple options there. We are running a raffle, and that is going to be drawn on the 6th. I know I'm throwing a lot of dates at you guys, but they're all the same. Okay, so on the 6th, we're drawing the raffle, $2,800 value. You can win a 100% free psychic mediumship course, a seat. And if you want to make sure you can still get your foot in the door to attend, because it is limited seating, go ahead and purchase your first class, lock your seat down, and should you win the raffle, we just reimburse you. Okay, so tons of fun. Again, you guys can get certified just like with tarot and have lifelong work opportunities, Ivy's Healing Call Center, Ivy League Psychic Fairs, ILPA opportunities. And of course, you can go out into the world and do your own thing with it. I will have you trained at a professional level. Okay, so check it out. And all of this information is just, you can go right to my website and then click on classes. So just go to ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com. Also, for those of you who missed the old classes I used to run before COVID, sorry guys, I'm getting over the flu. It's really gross, actually. But for those of you who miss like empathic awareness training, okay, I bring this into schools, universities. I train therapists in this. This used to be probably the biggest class I used to run in person. We would fill. Then we would have Coffee with Your Angels, Meet Your Guides, Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments class, relationships, boundaries, and cord cutting. If you miss all of those old classes I used to do for the public that were part of the psychic mediumship course, they are back. All right, so you can see them listed on the website, but the first one coming up in line is going to be empathic awareness. So get yourself registered for that. That means that, yes, the psychic mediumship course is the reason why I'm currently running these classes. However, those particular classes, there are 6 of them, they are open to the public. So you'll be joining in with the psychic mediumship students for that. Again, in person, online, or you can get the video download afterwards. So empathic awareness is the 14th of January. Okay, if you need to handle your empathic abilities, what does that mean? There are 4 levels to empathic ability, and it is looking more like a disorder. when you don't learn to manage the energy because you can't regulate your nervous system. You have irritable bowel, headaches, sleep disturbances, OCD-like symptoms, ADD-like symptoms. You're always feeling other people's emotions. It can be one heck of a ride and very, very difficult if you're trying to go out shopping. Places like Walmart are absolute torture, social anxiety, depression, and the doctors can't really help because they can't pinpoint where it's coming from, what the triggers are, and you'd wonder why the meds never work. Okay, so empathic awareness is really the foundation of everything else with spiritual development, health and balance, intuitive intelligence. And so we do it the third week in the psychic mediumship course, very early on. Okay, so again, open to the public. I think we have some questions coming in. I do just want to, I caught that disgusting flu. I forget what it's called. I really never get sick like that, but that was brutal. So all of a sudden I felt like, I feel really weird. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm just going to have some stomach problems. No biggie, probably something I ate. I've been ordering food because the weather's horrible here. And all of a sudden I was projectile vomiting, and I have been absolutely out of commission for days. So you guys be careful. And I made a post about it. I could see how that could have been a very humiliating situation for me if I had been out in public, and thank God I wasn't at the time, because I was the day before where I caught it. Okay, but I'm telling you, if you are not feeling well, and I'm seeing a ton of people put out videos and it's all over the news about this, it's going to be a humiliating experience for you. Okay, so get to a safe place, wash your hands, be healthy, and don't feel like you're acting nuts, if you're being super paranoid about it, because a lot of people are saying this has wiped them out for a month or more. I'm like so dehydrated. Okay, so let's go ahead and start getting onto your questions. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak, and this is my Dear Ivy show, where I give free advice on any topic under the sun. I'm not doing free psychic mediumship readings. If you need to book a reading with me, you can go to ivyriverapsychicmedium.com. Anything goes. Kim, my beautiful producer, will be taking your questions from the comment sections. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, she's going to have to take them and she'll be moving them so they pop up on the screen here on YouTube. If you want to support me in a serious way, you could switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. Okay, anything goes. All right, let's go ahead and start getting into these questions. We have first up is a Dorothy G. Dorothy says, I'm recently retired. What paths or opportunities should I focus on for residual short-term monetary success? I think when you're in a new circumstance like that, sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a situation. And what's really important for you to do is to focus on where your passions have been over the years, where you have some interest. There could have even been this feeling of wanting to get involved in a hobby. It doesn't have to be anything major, but that's what you want to look at in an opportunity like this. Okay, you're finally retired. You can make some extra cash. You can get into entrepreneurship, side hustle, and it will be lucrative. And this is what most people will never take the risk of doing when they have full-time employment and they've got bills to pay and they're nowhere near retirement. Most people will never take a risk like this. You are in a unique position to prove what I'm saying. And that is that when you give in to your passions, when you give in to your creativity and your life contract, your true path, these things bring about business opportunities. They bring about networking. They offer you healing. It's your way of giving healing to others as well. You may find that you're having even a ministry with this, where people want to follow you. They want to see more. People can get addicted to the art that you're creating. And, you're never going to get burnt out because it's a passion that you have. So again, it feeds your soul. It feeds your energy. I would look into also putting whatever it is that you're creating, whatever side hustle you do. I would do some videography with your journey. I would maybe blog it, or like you put it on TikTok, you put it on YouTube, you know, put yourself out there, show the world what you're up to. I would also highly suggest, and this is really for everyone who's going into retirement, look at volunteering in an area where you also have heartstrings. You're being pulled. This could be like, you know, even something like hospice, and maybe it's not volunteering, maybe you are going to get paid, okay? But you could start as volunteering, nonprofit, activism, okay? What have you been wanting to get your hands dirty in? How have you been wanting to help people? All right, so pay attention to your interests. This is the time, and if not now, when? Okay, enjoy it. All right, we're going to move on to another question. What do we have next? Okay, and again, this is a free advice show, so I'm just giving my advice on whatever topic. This is a play off of Dear Abby, okay, the old columnist. So Masubi says, hi, Ivy, what's the best way to get over fear and ego? Well, I think that finding the root of why it's there is always going to be key. So I'm always saying to you guys that it's wonderful to focus on manifestation, and it's wonderful to focus on forward thinking, future me, and goal setting, you know, and all these vision boards, and like, that's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But until you get the blocks out of the way, that's never going to work. It's just going to frustrate you, and you feel like your goals are getting further and further and further away, you know, as you reach for them. So we have to get in balance first. And in order to do that, you have to pinpoint why you have these fears, why you have these ego issues. That does not mean that you need to dive into 5 years of intensive trauma therapy. You know what I mean? Or get a psychiatrist, or like, that's not even what I'm talking about. That's great. If you have the money to do that, if you can do that, okay. I see with some people that's not even very helpful, you know? So it's not about that. That is an extra step. But to be able to identify what caused this problem in your life, and at what point did you adopt it and make it part of your like character, your personality, your habits, okay, on a regular basis. You want to look back, and I think that it's not about digging deeper and deeper and deeper. Like I said, it's just about embracing that truth, understanding that these things happened to you, owning it, taking responsibility for the parts of it that you can, and eliminating things like shame and guilt. So embracing yourself, allowing yourself to say, I did the best I could with what I had or what I knew at the time. Now, I hate that saying, because we've been letting people off the hook with that saying. Oh, people are just doing the best that they can from what they had at the, no, they're not. No, they definitely are not. Okay. But in your case, there is a reason, you know, this is a saying. Sometimes we don't see things, we don't know things, or we're being tricked. You know, it's sometimes a situation you got yourself involved in, and it had all types of downhill effects on your life, this trickle effect, where it infiltrated, you know, almost like an infection into all these other areas of your life. And we develop guilt and shame because of that. It's like, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I know that? So you need to look at these areas. You need to, again, embrace yourself, let these things go. I think it would be wise to do ceremonies. So you can do a ceremony where you write down even, you know, the things that cause this problem, the traumas, wherever your shame or guilt lies, write them down and then tear them up, okay, and release them, or burn it, bury it, okay, but let it go, let it go. The, you know, solution after that is going to be all the other things that I mentioned. You visualize what you want to have in your life. You visualize future you. You visualize, your ideal lifestyle and your ideal self, your higher self, and all these things. And now that can start to work. There can be fluidity there because you've removed the blocks. Okay. Also, don't feed it too much. When you start naming things, problems can really happen. So this is, whether you've got a bully, you've got an abuser, you've got some drama in your life, you've got diabetes, I don't care what it is. We don't want to name things and then like adopt them like they're part of our world or part of us, right? So instead of thinking of it as fear and ego and that's sort of taken over your life and is prohibiting you from being your true authentic self, you may want to knock that down off that pedestal. Okay, rename it, take its power away. Okay, but don't give it any more power than what it deserves. Something you can easily overcome if you choose to. It's creating a new set of habits to break the old one. All right, thank you, Masubi. We have another one coming in here from Amy on TikTok. My sister has passed. Do you think becoming a hospice volunteer will help me get some closure? I'm so sorry for your loss. I think it does for a lot of people. There are a couple things that help people get closure. I created a class and I'm going to be doing a full certified training on it. It's called Death Coaching. It's part of the Psychic Mediumship course. It is available to the public. You can go get the class up on the website as a video download. Death Coaching, or a lot of people these days are calling it like death doula. We used to have nurses in the early 2000s. I don't know what happened to that, but they were nurses it was like a mix between hospice and being a death coach, a death doula. And it was amazing. But like any really phenomenal system that brings tremendous healing, I think Big Pharma and the medical field shut it down pretty quickly. But you're right in thinking that if you can get involved in assisting other people with a transition from, life to death to life, that would be very accurate. I think what you're trying to really do is understand it more. I think you're trying to make peace with it by getting involved in the process. And how else are you going to do it if not through hospice, right? Or something like death coaching. You could become a reverend also and do something like death coaching. But I think that what might be easier for you is something like the mediumship course, learning mediumship, because there's so much more to it than just the death process. That's just like a speck in time. When spirit comes through, the deceased come through in a reading, they may mention their death if the family or the loved ones don't have closure or didn't get a proper goodbye. And they'll do that with a white rose, pulling off the thorns. Okay. They may mention their death if they aren't sure that the sitter, the person receiving the message, is going to be able to identify them. So they'll say, I was the one with cancer. Okay. I was the one who had a heart attack in the bathroom. I was the one who had this. Other than that, they're never even going to mention it. They don't think about it. It's not part of their life in the afterlife. It's really not about them. It's just to help us here on earth to better connect with them, to clear the air, to bridge the gap if there was a lack of closure in communication. But they're not attached to that. And so if you really want to get familiar with what's going on in the afterlife, you're going to want to learn mediumship. No one dies. Everyone transforms energy. And in that energy transformation, like with what your sister has gone through, she now speaks a different language than what she did when she was here. And communication is a two-way street. Now, society and the medical field and religion, the government, our parents, they've all shut down this language. We're told never, ever to learn this language. But this is the indigenous way. This is the earth's way. This is our soul's way, is understanding mediumship and being able to communicate with the universe and all the spirits. So learning that language, the lost language, is really what's going to take you, okay, to where you're looking to go. It's going to take you the farthest. All right. Thank you, Amy, for your question. And I am sorry for your loss. Masubi said, thank you. You are very welcome, Masubi. We have a question coming in here from a CJG. Hi, I recently started a new job and I want to know how it will go over the next year. Okay, well, I'm not doing psychic mediumship questions. So Kim, this would be considered like a psychic question. Okay. You can reword that, CJG, if you want to just like ask me, you know, some type of a question. And if they do that, you could pop it back up. Okay. Otherwise, I'll give some recommendations here in a minute. Okay. Do we have another one? Lucy says, what is the best way to refocus yourself and ground yourself when needing to have courage? That's a fantastic question. Best way to refocus and ground yourself when you need to have courage is to not hyper focus on how you feel. Not pay too much attention or give too much power to your nervous system, the heart palpitations, the anxiety attacks, the sweating, the migraine, whatever, okay? The stuttering, whatever comes. And to decide that you're going to have courage and you're going to step out and do something or say something, you know, that you feel passionately about. That's really the biggest deal right there. So the decision to show up. I think that you can sometimes be unpleasantly surprised by what happens when you do that. You may find that your anxiety really is quite off the charts and it is kind of shocking. You know, it's a jolt to your body. I did a play once where I blacked out through the whole second set. I've been up on stage before where my anxiety took over and I blacked out, you know, but I continued to perform. Apparently I'm on film, so I guess I did my job. But, you know, I think we underestimate ourselves. You know, you can be so nervous out of your mind that you literally exit your body and you still perform. I got rave reviews on that play. You know, it's like you have to do what you can beforehand with rooting and grounding exercises and then let the rest go and just try not to feed it by paying too much attention to it. You've already acknowledged it, okay? And that's key. I'm acknowledging the anxiety. I'm acknowledging the fear, and I'm going to do this anyways, okay? F it. I'm just going to jump. I'm going to just leap. And the grounding exercises, while they can be helpful, I think that when there's a significant amount of anxiety, you don't want to expect them to fix everything. Okay. So they help, I mean, I would say minimally, but they are worth doing. So with grounding exercises, the ones that work best for me and what I teach the students in the psychic mediumship course is putting your feet flat on the floor. You could have your shoes on, doesn't matter, but you put your feet flat on the floor and you close your eyes and you visualize roots growing out of the bottom of your feet, and until you feel that gravity, like it's anchoring you, okay, almost like the earth is pulling you down, anchoring you, that's when you know, okay, you're ready to move on to the next part of the exercise. So you're letting your feet get pulled, those roots growing out of the bottom of your feet down into the earth, and then you visualize that you're a tree and you say, I am safe, I am protected, I am rooted, I am grounded, or some variation of that, whatever makes you feel good. I am safe. You need to say that, okay? Because your body's saying, no, you're not. I am safe, okay? I am rooted and grounded. And, you know, cat's eyes, tiger's eyes, those will pull out headaches. Those will get you rooted and grounded real quick. Without you even having to do anything. So I would do the tree and I would keep tiger's eyes on you. So, you know, the brownstones, and just make sure they're fully charged. Like if you had to do a speaking event or something like that, you had to go engage in something, you know, keep them in your purse, keep them in your pockets. A lot of girls stuff them in their bras and stuff them in their, dresses and stuff like that. And it works. Okay. Good luck with everything. That's a tough one. I want to just tell a quick little story. I remember when I started doing psychic mediumship, it made me so nervous because mediumship causes anxiety attacks. A spirit comes in and you have full heart palpitations and the whole thing. And so I went from training to training at what was supposed to be the best well-known teachers internationally. And I went out to this spiritualist community and I met with a bunch of teachers there, and I paid a lot of money for these classes. And I would always ask, when like Q&A time came at the end, I would always ask, what do I do about my anxiety? I have this performance anxiety, and I don't know where it's coming from, but I feel like I'm gonna pass out, like it's so bad. And they all said, I don't know what you're talking about. That they don't have that. I finally had one lady tell me that there was this famous comedian back in the 40s who would go on stage and perform. And then as soon as he got off stage, he had puke buckets and he would just be vomiting in these buckets. And it happened to every performance throughout his entire career. And he was like the most famous comedian out there, whatever, performer. And they would just have to keep throwing out these puke buckets. And I thought, is that my solution? Is this as good as it's going to get? So really people don't understand how much effort needs to be put into being mindful and reestablishing habits so that you don't let the fear overtake you. You don't want to get stuck like that. So just be determined that you are going to get over it, and your body will, even if the anxiety doesn't always, leave entirely, your body will adjust to it. It's learning to ignore things. I swear to God, it's the best solution in life. With fear, with ego, with anxiety, I'm ignoring. I'm doing the thing anyways, just keep being courageous. We have another question here from a Molly Vine. Molly says, I'm feeling very overwhelmed with my job and all I have to learn. How can I keep going without getting down on myself? Well, a job is just a job, and you don't want to make it part of your identity. Experiences are just experiences. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. They're just experiences. Relationships with people are just relationships with people. No one is an extension of you. Not your kids, not your spouse, not your boss, not your parents, not anybody, right? It's all fairly irrelevant. The most important thing when you're on earth is to be in your center, is to love yourself, is to prioritize your well-being, and to do it to a point of, I would say, arrogance, doing it unapologetically. That is self-care. And so a situation where you were clearly hired, they want you there, they're probably not even paying you as much as you're worth anyways. Okay. And once you get the hang of learning everything, you're going to skyrocket. You want to remember that. Okay. So that you're not like, Dobby, like with the sock or whatever his name was, like in Harry Potter. Like, don't come in kind of crippling yourself, because so what if there's a lot to learn? You'll learn it. And, you may want to take on an attitude of like, I'm going to go at my own pace. I'm going to be going at my own pace, because you know what they really don't want to do is to push so hard that they lose you and they have to rehire. Rehiring is a huge pain in the rear end. Rehiring is expensive. Training you or letting you get your training underway is expensive. They don't want to have to redo that. Okay. So right now you're in a power position. Take any situation in your life where you feel vulnerable and turn it into a power position for yourself. Take charge. You get the upper hand. Okay. But you are not going to be pushed around by money. You're not going to be pushed around by fear. You're not going to be pushed around by some employer. You're not going to remember in a year if you were to leave now. You know what I mean? Who cares? Like, center yourself. You are the priority. Also, when you come with that attitude, you're not blocking the right side of your brain. Okay, so nervousness, anxiety, fear, imposter syndrome, all of this blocks the right side of your brain, which is turning off your intuition, It's turning off your creativity. It's turning off your ability to really think clearly. And we want flow. Okay, so don't create blocks for yourself. And always remember, it's just money. It's just money, honey. Okay, there's tons of it out in the world. You can get it from a million other places if that's not the right place for you. Okay, so you have to either feel good or you're going to go get that money somewhere else, and it'll be their loss. We're going to move on to another one. Teeny from TikTok says, how do I know when my loved ones who passed are trying to communicate with me? Well, join the psychic mediumship course. There's a lot to that question, but it's ultimately you having to learn the language of how they communicate. Every spirit communicates differently. So you would best get trained in something like mediumship so that you learn how to communicate with each one of them in the different ways that they communicate. So it's not really just like one or two or three answers. There's a lot to it. It's most of the time, though, first watching for visitations in dreams. So with dream visits that are real, it's not subconscious, you're not concocting it, you know, it's not wishful thinking. The real visits are going to be brief encounters with your deceased loved one that may feel very warm, peaceful, loving. Sometimes even like you have a divide with them because they've evolved beyond what they were here on Earth. So it can feel a little weird sometimes, but still loving. Their mouths don't move. They communicate through telepathy. So, you know, they're maybe giving a message that could happen as well, but usually it's just, I love you, I'm here, you know, and we're spending a little bit of time together. You would also want to watch for technology messing up, computer systems going bonkers, batteries draining, light bulbs blowing out, you know, things like this. So they use electricity, they use batteries, you know, they use technology they steal the energy so that they can communicate with you. So you'll watch your technology go crazy. I see people even getting texts and emojis that were the same texts or those type of emojis that the deceased person used. They just pop up on their phone after they're deceased out of nowhere, right? Freakish things like this. So technology is something spirit's pretty good at communicating through. It's hard to know what they're saying, obviously. That's where mediumship comes in, but you know it's them. We also have signs and symbols. So another really common communication from the deceased is numerology. If you're a numerology person, every number means something. Number patterns, showing up on the clock, showing up on license plates. You wake up, you look at the clock at the same time. Patterns of numbers, 333. The likelihood of that happening, you have a greater likelihood of winning the lottery. Okay, research shows than that happening. So if you're a numerology person, they're going to use that. We would see this with animals, animal totems, birds, especially squirrels. So like smaller animals that they can manipulate. It usually starts with like smaller birds, and then it'll go up to like rodents, and then eventually deer and things like that. Through your dog, through your cat. Yeah. Signs, symbols, pennies from heaven, pennies, nickels, quarters, dimes, tokens. Okay, left in weird places. You're like, what is that doing there? How did that get there? Feathers. How did that get there? Okay. So there are a million ways they communicate. And then there are a million other things that I could mention. Okay. But these are all ways you have to learn who's who, what's what. Okay. And build your own abilities to encourage it. The most important thing, and this is for everybody, what we don't want to do is dismiss them. Like with any person in your life, if you were having a communication with someone else, right, and you shared something, you reached out to them, you told them you love them or you want to hang out, and if they ignore you or they reject you, okay, real quickly, that communication is going to get shut down until it's not happening anymore. All right, so I don't care if you think it's your imagination. You're like, that's probably wishful thinking in my imagination. I don't care. Embrace it. Celebrate it. Tell them you got it. Okay. So the more you feed it, the more you will get. Heather Hopkins says, when you're reconnecting with someone from a long period of time, any advice on how to go about it? Okay, so I think I'm understanding this. You're reconnecting with someone from a long time ago? Any advice on how to go about it? I think go at it with a very childlike, raw attitude, like blank slate. When you reconnect with someone, it can be shocking how different you both are. And you don't ever want to go into a relationship that's been on the back burner or whatever, assuming we're picking up where we left off. Now, that's amazing when that happens, and it does happen. But even when that happens, I think that if you have two healthy individuals, or if anybody's been through any kind of dramatic change or trauma, there's going to be some significant change in their personality, in their communication style, in their character. And you want to make room for that. You want to not put an agenda on it, your expectations on it. You're not projecting onto them what you want them to be or how you want it to be what it once was. You're just seeing if whatever this is now can still be something beautiful. And it may be better now than it even was before. Hopefully, I mean, that's the goal, right? Is that everybody's growing and learning and we can all evolve, maybe not entirely throughout our entire lifespan, but like popping in and out of each other's lives, okay? This is what I would call like a soul tribe connection, or even a soulmate connection. I see this a lot where like once every decade, these two people come back together again. And then it just, it's not meant to be 24/7 till death do us part, or a friendship where we become the Golden Girls, and we're inseparable. It comes together, it goes apart. It comes together, it goes apart. When you're supposed to be together, you will be brought together. I would also just say, for whatever reasons, there was a divide. If you see those problems or you feel really weird about the connection, that could just be a sign like not to go there, not to go any further, because often people want to reconnect and they haven't done the work. They want what you gave them. So as long as that's not an issue, I think just approach it very curiously. I love when that happens. That's fun. We have from CJG. So this is a rewriting of the original question. I have a giving heart and spirit. What can I do to stop being, what can I do to stop being an overgiver and not live with regret? Well, I think understanding the law of the universe, karma, and what it means to stay in your lane is the easiest way to stop seeing people as an extension of you, or stop seeing people's situations as your responsibility to fix. So we call this wounded healer syndrome in the spiritual community, which basically means that you are a healer. You are probably a level 3-4 empath. You have all of these healing abilities, and the world is like a big leech. The world is like a needy, lazy, underdeveloped leech, and it wants to just take all of that healing energy out of you and consume it so that like they don't have to do the work. Okay. And then it runs out. And so they need more and more and more and more and more. So see it for what it is. Humans are nothing more than energy, and each person has their own path that they're supposed to be on. On that path, this is why I say stay in your lane, okay? On that path, they have karma. What's karma? Lessons. And if you're interfering with that in any way, enabling them, helping them when you shouldn't, giving when it's out of your path, you're creating negative karmic kickback, which means things in your life start to fall apart. Even if you thought you did good, even if you thought you did great, even if it came from the bottom of your heart, you're going to have negative karmic kickback because of that. It's the law. It's the rule. You weren't supposed to touch that situation, that person, and it's not good for them because you just robbed them of their lesson, of their opportunity. You snagged it. For what? So get to the root issue. Why am I doing this? Because there's always a payout. So when we see like wounded healer syndrome and stuff like this, we tend to be talking about martyrdom, maybe victimization, maybe you had parentification when you were younger. What is it about you that you feel fed by when you do this? Like, how does it stroke your ego? How does it make you feel powerful? How does it kill off any sense of vulnerability? Does it make you feel like you're no longer a victim, in a situation that may have once made you feel, powerless in a prison system? It's like you can get out of that momentarily, not for real. You can get out of that momentarily by overreaching with other people. I know a lot of people who are also, and I'm not saying you're doing this, and we all know somebody like this. They're obsessed with everyone else's business, obsessed with everyone else's business. And if the people in their life don't have enough business for them to get their nose stuck in, they'll go onto social media, right? And they'll become obsessed with stars and I don't know, gossip crap. It's like, are you really? You're on a much lesser version of that, but it's in alignment. It's the same idea, right? And so you want to look at what it is that you get out of, because like I said, there's always a pay. Where's your payment? Where's your payment? So whatever you're getting paid when you do this, even if it's cleverly hidden, it's there. And you want to say, okay, that's from a root issue I have in my past. And I'm going to have to find a better approach to healing that, a real approach to healing that, so it could be shadow work or therapy or, however you choose to approach it. But don't overgive. Also, I think that, and this is just a message for everybody on that note, because this is a really good question. When we start to give to people in situations, or we think too much about something, or we're apologetic at our job, or we feel like we're undeserving of things, when we have these problems and we have this sort of like guilt and shame, and we're worried we're going to regret things, that's our programming. So go to the root of how you were programmed, especially being a woman in the world. Don't forget that from the minute you were conceived, right? The minute the female genitalia showed up, you were screwed, okay? In that you were going to be subservient, you were going to give and give and give to the point of your death, your immune system, and that's the patriarchy. So look at the deconstruction that needs to be done so that you're not constantly apologizing. Okay, you don't owe anybody anything. Make people start paying up too. Get in the habit of being like, pay me, pay me in advance. What do you want? What do you want from me? Anytime anybody new approaches, what do you want? What do you want? You enter a new job. Are you paying me? Let me see that contract. Are we leveling up in 6 months? You said we were. No, I'm out. You have to stay on top of it because the world will suck you dry. Okay. We're going to move on to Kim. How do I deal with someone who always plays the victim? You don't. You run, because they are also, in doing so, stealing your energy, irritating your soul, because it is irritating to see someone who's perfectly capable of doing better, but they choose not to. And they are reliant upon, they are depending upon you enabling them. So you're not helping anyone when they're playing the victim and you keep feeding it by being around, and then they can't suffer the consequences of their actions or hit rock bottom or have to learn new tools and grow and develop, right? So it's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. There's nothing to be done with someone who plays into the victimhood mentality, because most of the time, I would say I rarely, if ever, have seen a change in these particular types of people. It's a choice they make all day, every day. All day, every day. They are confronted with opportunities to do better, and they choose low. And they know they can get away with it. Their skill in manipulating others gets better and better. And so it's like, why would I stop? Okay, so you don't see the level of arrogance behind the scenes that really goes on probably in these people's minds. It's bad. Okay, it's dark, and it will eventually turn into paranormal problems and very dark energy. So just run, okay? And again, you're not obligated to anyone. No one is an extension of you. You're not obligated, okay, to help anyone in that situation. Everyone has to help themselves, and if you interfere, you will get negative karmic kickback. CJG says, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for your question. Do we have any more coming in? I did have one more earlier. Kim, will you grab up if there are any more last minute questions? If everybody could please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind, and please do subscribe. I did have a question coming in earlier, Kim, that I forgot to send you. And I thought, this applies to what I see a lot of people going through right now. So a lot of people are dealing with triangulation in their families or their marriages. They're dealing with abusive or neglectful family members or spouses. They feel, even though they're fully grown, like they're married, maybe they have kids, whatever, they feel as though they're still the black sheep or the scapegoat, or somehow in adulthood they've become, it's like a replay on their childhood. I think it's really important to understand that we will relive our childhood drama and trauma and neglect or abuse. And even if it doesn't seem like it was that bad, it was just maybe dysfunction. As family gets older, the dysfunction gets bigger if they haven't dealt with it, and more obvious. And if you didn't deal with the effects on you, you will find yourself in romantic partnerships. You will get married, okay? You will have children and then find yourself in an identical trap to what you were in childhood. And instead of getting down on yourself and saying, how the heck did this happen? How am I reliving this? I thought I created this life. I thought I got free of that. And you're right back in the prison system. Well, you didn't fully heal. You didn't fully process. You didn't fully do the shadow work. And that can take years and years or even decades. And that's fine. So we just need to be careful we're not getting too deep in with contracts with other people, right? And if you see, and this is my advice on this situation, if you see that your spouse is gossiping behind your back, if you feel like your family has triangulation, which is where they come together, okay, triangulation, it's a psychology term where like maybe the mom and the sister and the aunt, or the siblings and the mom or whatever, you know what I mean? The mom and the dad and the sibling, like they all kind of huddle and talk about you. If you notice they're trying to turn your child against you, make you look foolish, they break your rules, and you feel like your back is always up, it's going to start affecting you mentally, physically, emotionally. Watch out for autoimmune problems, stress issues, stomach problems. The bottom line is this should have not ever happened to you, okay? Rightfully so. But it did. And in childhood, you shouldn't have had to fight that battle. You didn't have a choice. So in a lot of ways, you couldn't fight that battle, but you can now. So don't keep yourself stuck. At the first sign of any of those things, I would say the first red flag is the last red flag. You're an adult now. You need to cut these people off. You need to get to a place of freedom. And hopefully that will salvage the relationship with the kids that they're trying to turn against you. Okay. This is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger problem. It's outrageous the way people treat each other in systems where they're supposed to be safe. They're supposed to be among those that love them the most. Okay, very twisted. And you can always build your own family. It will happen. Do we have any more questions coming in? TikTok, they're about to shut me down, so you may want to switch over here to YouTube at Ask Ivy. I can see the threat from TikTok already. So Hunter Santiago says, what is the best way for me to approach a promotion within my company that is different from my current position? Well, I think that you just need to do a little bit of research on what they're really looking for. You can lie your way through any interview. You can charm and get hired on the spot if you're doing it right. Okay. You're totally bullshitting, but whatever. You just have to convince them that what you're going to bring to the table is something they need. It's something they want. You can present yourself as being like super fast learner, and that you are excited about the position. You're going to want to understand also, without advertising it too much, you're going to want to understand where the company needs help. Okay. So don't break the company down, necessarily, but definitely showing that you have like innovation, you are a self-starter, you, again, with grasping things really quickly, making it seem like, the transition is going to be very smooth, very quick, very easy. And I think showing stability is something really important. And I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but that's lacking these days. So, and I'm not blaming anybody. A lot of the reason for people not holding and staying with a job is because they're not getting paid enough. So be it. Okay, that's the company's fault. But you're not going to go in there with that attitude. You're going to go in there like you were going to be there till the day you die. You're going to be presenting as though, you want this, you have long-term goals there. I would talk about any long-term goals with the company beyond that, that position. And just be confident in what you're saying, because you don't have to know everything. You just have to get your foot in the door. Okay. And then you will know everything. But movement is really the key. If you've been in the same position, for too long, you don't ever want to be the last one to leave the party, overstay your welcome or whatever. If you're supposed to be transitioning, trust that the universe is going to support the change. Okay. So it's almost like you have a horseshoe up your rear end. You could end up with something really great. Okay. Even though technically, you don't know it. Heather Hopkins says, thank you for the advice. You're welcome. Thank you for your questions. Do we have any more coming in? All right. Just a reminder that, the Psychic Mediumship course starts January 7th. The raffle to win, $2,800 value. The raffle to win a free seat is being drawn on the 6th. Registration deadline is the 5th, and tarot class also begins on the 7th. So you guys go onto the website if you want to book a party or reading or a psychic fair with me, Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com, and I work internationally. So also, if you're in a totally different time zone and you look at my scheduling, and you're like, this isn't going to work. Maybe you're in India or whatever. You can do a video reading. Okay. So I can just send it to you that way. And it looks like we are at time. I can't see on here. Are we at time, Kim? And give me a thumbs up. We are at time. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. And Happy New Year again. Stay safe. Wash your hands.